The Fed's not specifically relating them, and Doge has no legal authority to require the Fed to cut anybody. But they obviously have been criticized by the Doge folks. And Jay Powell has said in the past that they try to, follow the general procedures of the whatever administration they have. So the administration is cutting bodies. So this may be just another one of the Powell efforts to preemptively curry favor with the administration, or it may be that they decided they are indeed overstaffed.
But Powell is the person who would make the decision about this, ostensibly.
Essentially, yes, although the board, you have to understand the way the Fed is set up. The Board of Governors is one organization that is an independent agency created by Congress with a different structure than the independent agencies where the president's trying to fire people. And then there are the 12 regional banks. And those are structured differently as quasi-public institutions. They are run by private boards of directors, and the whole Fed is self-funding. So Jay Powell would lead a directive to try to lower the head count. He could cut people at the board itself, but the Fed Bank presidents will have to go along with that. And some of the members of the Board of Governors are there's a committee that supervises the regionals. So I'm sure this was a product of negotiations.
Is there any, thinking about what kind of employees at the Fed would be potentially first to get cut as a part of this headcount reduction?
It's hard to say because the Fed does so many different things besides monetary policy and research. You could see some of the research staff cut back, perhaps at some of the banks. There's been talk for years that maybe some of the regional banks could merge research staff so they're not all doing the same thing. But they also do the payment system, and that has now, it's evolving into an instant payment system, its own kind of parallel to what all the crypto folks want. And so they may need fewer bodies. AI may start to contribute, and they may need fewer bodies. And then there's always the question of regulation, regulating banks. And there's been talk in the administration of consolidating bank regulation. There are 3 separate bank regulators now, so that may have something to do with it down the road. There are a lot of places they could look for a couple here, a couple there.
I mean, a couple would be a few, because this is an organization that has about 24,500 employees. As of 2023, this would equate to a roughly 2,500 person workforce reduction. You mentioned payments to Emily just now. What else are all these employees doing at the Federal Reserve?
Well, the payments and regulatory are the biggest sections, because payment system is obviously, it's kind of the underpinning of everything that happens in the financial world that we report on. And bank regulation is a huge group. The smallest group is the monetary policy one. And then there are other efforts that the Fed's banks do. They do community relations, and they have to live up to the Community Reinvestment Act, which so they've got to regulate what kind of lending gets done into poor communities. They have a lot of things like that. The whole idea of, should the Fed have its own cryptocurrency? Should there be a Fed coin? They put together a task force out of the Boston Fed, but with people from the board and the Boston Fed who have been looking into that and doing the research, et cetera. So there are a lot of different areas, a lot of different things going on.